So, today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from our source material. The idea that there are these invisible pressures shaping the lives of so many women. We're going to give a name to three of these hidden forces. And more importantly, we're going to talk about a path to feeling more whole.
Have you ever felt that feeling of being pulled in a million different directions, held back by something you can't even put your finger on? Well, you're definitely not alone in feeling that. And our source today actually gives it a name.
The source calls them hidden psychological and spiritual struggles. And, it points out that even with all the progress we've made, these internal burdens, they often just fly under the radar. They're like these undercurrents that can mess with everything from our confidence to our sense of peace. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. The idea is that real growth, real change, it all starts with just having the courage to look these pressures in the eye and say, okay, I see you. All right, let's jump right into the first one. And this is a big one. It's so constant, so pervasive in our culture that we might not even notice its weight anymore. It's the pressure of unrealistic body ideals. I mean, think about it. From the ads you see to your social media feed, the source makes this great point that women are just bombarded with the message that their body is a project, something that always needs fixing or perfecting. And that can really kick off these nasty cycles of self-criticism. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the contrast here. On the left, you've got that relentless pressure we were just talking about. But on the right, the source offers this totally radical reframe. Instead of a project, what if your body is a sacred gift, a vessel for love? Just think about the freedom in that shift. It's huge. And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures that new way of thinking. The source uses this quote from Saint Teresa of Avila to completely reframe the body's purpose. It yanks the focus away from just appearance and puts it squarely on action, on kindness, on being present in the world. It's about what your body can do, not just what it looks like.
And just so you know, this isn't just some nice-sounding philosophical idea. The source material is actually informed by established psychological research on things like body image and well-being. So these spiritual insights, they have a firm grounding in science.
Okay, so let's move on to the second hidden pressure. And you're going to see that same theme pop up again, this tension between internal and external validation. This one is the pressure of caretaker overload. And man, this is another one that can just feel like a basic fact of life. You know what this is, right? The source describes it as this widespread expectation for women to be the default caregivers for everyone. And when that goes unchecked, it can lead straight to burnout and just complete exhaustion. And look, here's that powerful contrast again. Society often praises this endless self-sacrifice, right? Like being overwhelmed is some kind of badge of honor. But the source points to a totally different kind of strength, one that gets that you can't pour from an empty cup. Real service requires rest and boundaries and some self-compassion. And this is so, so important. Taking time for renewal isn't selfish. It's absolutely essential. The source brings up this incredible example, showing that taking time to recharge isn't a retreat from helping others. It's what makes it possible to keep helping others. All right, that brings us to our third and final pressure, one that so many women have to navigate in their careers. The source calls it the professional tightrope. This idea of a tightrope just nails it, doesn't it? The source describes this impossible double bind. Women are pushed to achieve, to be excellent, but at the same time they're criticized if they come across as too ambitious or too assertive. It's just this constant, exhausting balancing act. So how do you get off this crazy tightrope? Well, the source suggests you stop looking outward and start looking inward. Just imagine the mental energy you'd free up if you stopped trying to manage everyone else's perceptions and instead just started listening to your own authentic internal voice. Okay, so we've laid it all out, the pressure on the body, the caregiving overload, and that professional tightrope. But now we get to the turning point, the good stuff. This is the shift from just diagnosing the problem to finding the solution. So what's the secret? How do we handle all of this? According to the source, it all boils down to one simple thing: awareness. And I know that might sound too simple, but it is so incredibly powerful. Just the act of seeing and naming these pressures, that's the first step to freedom. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Okay, so this whole journey of becoming aware leads to something the source calls psycho-spiritual growth. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, But what it really means is rewiring where you find your value. It's this intentional shift away from basing your worth on what you do or what you look like, and toward this deep, unshakable sense of your intrinsic value just for being you.
When you boil it all down, this is the big idea. Getting through these hidden pressures comes down to this one crucial shift. Stop looking outside yourself for approval and start cultivating a deep sense of worth and purpose from within.
And so, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. What would change in your life if you started to see these pressures, not as your own personal failures, but as invitations? Invitations to grow into a deeper, more authentic way of living. It's a pretty powerful question to think about. Thanks for watching.